What's up, guys? Chris with Croft CNC for newbies here. Um, Still trying to get used to saying that in the beginning. Um, had I had a bunch of people reach out to me asking about the fact that they can't find 5x10 MDF in their area, and I feel your pain. Sometimes I can find it, sometimes I can't. But I figured I'd go live and show you guys how I sister different parts of MDF together. And this can be done vertically or horizontally. And then also you can play around with different aspects of it so that you can get a better table system and use like a torsion box. Okay. So let me flip this. Excuse me. Goodness, I just coughed right in your ear. All right, guys. So this morning when we left off, you guys saw I laid all this out. Everything screwed down every few inches. It's 12 inches to 12 inches, but then 6 inches on down. Now, when I do my sistering of my spoil boards, I do not, I actually don't set it up so that both pieces stop right here. What I do is I create a shelf, and I'll show you underneath. You can actually see I make an L bracket to support this. That gets self-tapped into the corner, and I try and get it on top of these ridges, not in the keyway. All right. And I use 1 1/4. I use 1 1/4 self-tappers. All right. So I'll take that and I'll actually drive that in. So that's about how much will be into the aluminum extrusion. And I make sure to do it in places that do not interfere with the mounts or the screws for the rack and pinions, the lead screw mounts, or the linear rail mounts. Okay. So this is actually a 2x10 board. It's this wide. It's about 9 5/16 wide. And then the support boards for this particular machine, I did in 1x4. Okay. And I cut them to length so that they match here. And then I did a pocket hole setup and some glue along each side. Okay. That gives me a nice tight system. I mean, this isn't even screwed into the machine yet, and it's already nice and solid. Then I do 3 screws. I do 2 countersunk screws and 1 surface screw, and I make sure the heads are all below surface, but I want one that really have some meat of the MDF and the wood. I use regular wood like a white pine, a red oak, a cedar, something like that. I don't use a particle or an MDF on my sistering. But then I do some countersunks to get down through it and make sure that I go all the way through this board. And I do it in between all of these screws here. Okay. That way I can still maintain my screw pattern on this part of the MDF. All right. And then what I'll do is I'll fill in my MDF from this edge to this edge. I'll bolt it down here. I'll screw it down here, bolt it up. Then I'll butt up against this MDF. I'll run a set of countersunk screws through here, which is just MDF. Then I'll run a little bit longer screw, and I'll countersink through this MDF and the sistering board. All right. And that's how I'll align it. So I have my MDF, both will stop here, but the first layer will actually butt up against this. I'll have glue down here, and that'll be all secured. Then the top layer will actually butt up here and get countersunk down to this MDF. All right. And that's how I do it. And then once I get this all filled out and everything, I'll run a surfacing program. I'll let that surface. Once it surfaces and everything's nice and flat, I'll go back, I'll add my T-tracks. And once I add my T-tracks, I'll then add my nut certs, and something I'm going to try. I've tried by itself, but I've never tried with the nut certs, is I might put an oval pocket so that I can fit squeeze clamps underneath or up top. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet, but that's definitely something that I'm going to try and go from there. So that'll be setting up this spoil board. This spoil board is a little more intricate than what I'm normally doing in terms of just putting MDF on and screwing stuff to it, screwing fixtures to it and stuff. But it's also much better for content. So still 2 layers of MDF. We'll have all the T-tracks put in. You could see on this one, I went 3 inches off of this side, then 35 inches, then 24 inches, then 12 inches, and then 3 inches off of 0 on that side. And that's how I'll lay out my grid pattern for my T-tracks, and that'll allow me to use my Rockler clamps and other clamps that I make. And then I'll just epoxy in or liquid nail in some nut certs. I would typically do the nut certs from the bottom, but I'm actually being lazy. Full disclosure, I'm being lazy. So I'm going to epoxy them in from the top. And that's just what I'm going to do. I'll be using West Systems adhesive epoxy, marine grade. And then once I do this, I'll get everything leveled out. I may put a coating of some type of clear coat on top, maybe a polyurethane or something like that. I'm not sure yet. Knowing me, I say I'll do that. I probably won't. I'll probably just start making stuff. But I got the boards to start doing the molding for my daughter's room to see what it's going to look like and go from there. All right. So that's how you can sister your boards together to get the size that you need and want for your machines. Later, guys.